So it is time for movie reviews. This is Nathan Thomas on Pure 24/7 Radio. I'm joined as always for this little look into the world of cinema by Andy Godfrey. Hi, Andy. How are you?
Hey, Nathan. It's great to be with you, and how great to spend some time looking into the world of cinema. As you know, that's probably my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, and you've written a whole book on it as well.
I've written a whole book on it. Absolutely. Any chance to plug that shamelessly. It's available on Amazon, folks, called Confessions of a Christian Film Critic. My week's been quite interesting. I went to my first ever international cricket match this week up in Birmingham, Edgbaston. Watched England play India. A friend of mine had 2 tickets and took me. So that was a day when I didn't get to cinema. But yeah, so it's been quite a good week. And then we've got a busy weekend. I'm preaching at a church in Norfolk on Sunday, a place called Attleborough Baptist in Norfolk. So if anybody's around, do come and say hi. We'll be giving Pure a plug. I'm going to do a little presentation on Pure 247 Radio because many of the folks, they won't have heard of it. So hopefully by the end of the service, we'll have got people downloading the app, which would be great. So if you're in Norfolk, if you're around in Norfolk on Sunday, pop into Attleborough Baptist and do come and say hi. And you guys have been busy, so quite a week one way or
Yeah,
another.
absolutely. Well, I hope that goes really, really well. And it is wonderful to see you. It has been quite a week. We are looking forward to some busy stuff over the weekend, taking on the Yorkshire Two Peaks, in fact,
Yeah.
which is so cool.
Wow.
First time doing anything like that. So I am looking forward to it. But we'll crack on with some movie
Yeah,
reviews.
let's do that.
I understand you've seen one new one this week.
Yeah. So what I would like to do, if it's okay with you, is just look at the top 15 in the box office. Just dive in and out and pick a few out because there's been some really interesting box office news this week. We were talking about it off air. There's been some really interesting box office news. So I looked at the top 15. There's several I haven't seen because they're Bollywood films and they're foreign films, and I tend to not have time to go and see those. Bollywood, the average Bollywood film tends to be over 3 hours long.
Wow.
And so it's fitting in everything, and tend to concentrate on the English ones, the ones that might be of more interest to our viewers. So if we may, we'll just start dipping in and out the top 15.
Yeah, sure.
The reason I say top 15 is because 15 is Hallow Road, which is this film we were talking about last week, my joint favourite film of the year along with Warfare. This is the film that features a husband and wife in a car for 70 minutes talking to their daughter on the phone. That's all it is, but it is gripping. It is sensational. It goes into the sort of world of fairy tale a little bit. What happens is really intriguing, really different. I absolutely love this film. It's number 15. It's dropped out of cinemas. I think it peaked about number 4 or 5, which was great. But it's now down to number 15. But do try and catch it if you can, because it's a really terrific film. Number 12 is The Accountant 2, which is not as good as The Accountant, which is not as good as many other films about James Bond type characters out there. We'll come to one of those in a moment. So there's some action, there's some adventure, there's some lots of stuff blowing up, there's lots of car chases, but it's pretty bog standard stuff. The Accountant hasn't set the box office like number 12. One I want to mention at number 8. I haven't seen this, but a friend of mine went to see it. It's Ocean with David Attenborough. Now, he said, don't wait for this to come on TV. See this at the big screen. I'm desperately trying to find a screening in my area. But obviously, we know David Attenborough, what now in his 90s, still narrating films about the wonderful world of nature. And apparently, this is an absolutely stunning film called Ocean, about obviously the oceans and the sea creatures that live in them. But I do want to just highlight that that's still around if people want to go and see it. At number 7 is a Minecraft movie. This is the Jack Black film based on the Minecraft game. Done quite well in the box. I don't think it's done as well as they hoped it would do. It's actually now available to stream as well. One of the things that annoys me at the moment is that there is a certain TV company which is advertising films that you can stream and saying, see them at home while they're still at the cinema. It annoys me intensely because we want people to go to cinemas. Cinemas have been closing down. Cinemas have been losing money. See it at home while it's still at the cinema. No, go and see it at the cinema, But a Minecraft movie hasn't done as well. It's a bit of knockabout fantasy, which is okay. And then the new number 5 is Thunderbolts, aka the New Avengers, as it's now actually officially called, because the Avengers all passed away in previous Marvel films. We've now got a new team of superheroes saving the world. This goes into quite some dark places. This goes into the psyche of a superhero. What's it like inside the mind of a superhero? What drove these people to become the people that they are? And it goes into quite some dark places, but all the better for that, for being this introspective movie. I really enjoyed it, and I don't often say that about big Marvel type superhero films. Now, number 4 is the new one that I saw at the cinema this week. So this is called The Phoenician Scheme. So this is a film by Wes Anderson. Now, I don't know if you know Wes Anderson, Nathan. Wes Anderson is a director who's made 13 films, and his style is absolutely unique. He tends to use either very, very bright color palettes or very, very dull color palettes. And it's like his films are not set in the real world. They're slightly off kilter. They're slightly in an alternative universe, which is a bit weird, always a bit weird and strange. The color palettes are all over the place in his films. Furniture, a chair that people sit in doesn't look like a chair. It's a chair, but it's been sort of redesigned and modern and got 5 legs, and his planes are made of metal. He made a film called Grand Budapest Hotel, and he tends to use a lot of model work. So people are on a train in that film, and what we see is a model train, and it's so clearly a model train, and he doesn't care. It's a toy train driving through mountains. So his films are a little bit surreal. And you either love them or you don't. And I quite like them because they're different. I haven't gone on well with all of his films. His last one was called Asteroid City, which was about a city built on the site of an asteroid crash in the middle of the desert. So in this instance, the color scheme was bright, bright yellow. Everything was bright yellow, you know? And everything's slightly off kilter in a Wes Anderson film. You never quite know what's real and what isn't. And he attracts really good cast. I mean, this has got William Dafoe, this has got Tom Hanks, this has got Benedict Cumberbatch. Really great cast, but a very weird film. So this is a film I saw this week. It's about a businessman who's got lots of enemies who are continually trying to assassinate him. In fact, we open in a plane. In fact, the opening shot is of this businessman sat in a plane with his secretary at the back of the plane. You immediately know you're in a Wes Anderson film because nothing feels right. The plane looks strange. The glasses are weird. The seats are weird. The color scheme's weird. And the plane blows up and he survives because everybody's trying to kill this businessman. He's trying to do a deal with other businessmen to get a project in Phoenicia off the ground. And he employs his daughter, who is a nun. I told you films are weird, to become his new business secretary. I found it really entertaining. I found it really funny. It is weird. It is strange. My friend Mark Kermode did not like it. I liked it. A few of my friends have liked it. A few of my friends have hated it. It's about a businessman trying to get a deal off the ground while other people are trying to assassinate him in a very, very weird off-kilter world where nothing looks quite right. You know, I can't really describe it any better than that. Nothing looks quite right, you know, and that's his signature trademark, Wes Anderson. He made a film called Isle of Dogs, which is an animated film about dogs, which was it was okay. It was quite entertaining. But his best film was a film called Grand Budapest Hotel, about a hotel in Budapest. And Ralph Fiennes played the hotel manager. And it was just, that was a beautiful film. That looked amazing. This is okay. It's quite entertaining. It's quite funny. I laughed out loud a few times. Film about a businessman. It's number 4 in the chart, so it's done quite well. And Wes Anderson films don't always do quite well because they are an acquired taste. You know, those of us that are cine buffs, those of us that, I mean, I'm going to do a chapter, I think, on Wes Anderson in the next book because he's so weird. His stuff just looks extraordinary, really. And the color schemes, as I say, are either really bright, dazzling, or really dull and grey, depending on the scene. There's nothing in between with a Wes Anderson film, and that's very deliberate. So, interesting film. Quite enjoyed it. Number three is Final Destination Bloodlines. These are these films, series, latest in series of films about people who have premonitions of disasters, and they manage to save people from the disaster, but then the people that they've saved start dying in weird and wonderful ways. It's not the best in the series. It's fine. But then we come to the top two. Now, this is what we were talking about off air. So last week we had Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and we had the new live action Lilo and Stitch from Disney. Which one do you think's number one? Well, I told you off air, so
Well,
tell everybody.
I assumed that it would probably be the Mission Impossible, the long-awaited Mission Impossible, because it's like it's the film of that everyone's been
Yeah,
waiting for.
yeah,
But as it happens, as you told me, it's actually Lilo and Stitch.
yeah. And this is quite incredible. Now, I think that there are some reasons for this. So, Lilo and Stitch has garnered over £9 million at the UK box office. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is on £8 million. So Lilo and Stitch has done £1 million worth more of business than,
Wow.
and Disney must be rubbing their hands with absolute glee. And I would think Tom Cruise is quite happy with 8 million the UK box office, but it's not the sensational openings, not the sensational week that Paramount would have hoped for the new Mission Impossible film. In fact, it's disappointing in terms of these things. And I think there's some reasons for this. It's been half term, and I think a lot of kids drag their parents along to see Lilo and Stitch. Parents who probably wanted to see Mission Impossible, but maybe felt that a 12A certificate with lots of action and complicated plot about an AI entity taking over the world and nuclear war maybe wasn't quite the thing for their kids. I think this is what's happened. I think Disney were very at first I thought Disney are crazy. My thinking last week was Disney are absolutely crazy. They're releasing this new live action film, and their live action films haven't done great business in the past. I mean, look at Snow White. It was terrible. Their live action films haven't done great business in the past. They are releasing it on the same day as Mission Impossible. And I thought, no, Disney have gone nuts. But actually, when you look at the result, by releasing it during half term at the same time as Mission Impossible, Disney have scored a winner. And I think it's because, as I say, it's half term. I think kids are dragging their and Lilo and Stitch is doing repeat viewing. I mean, I said my daughter was going to see it again. And it is a really, really, really good film. It is an entertaining film. It's funny. It's lively. It's 20 minutes longer than the cartoon version, which for me is a problem because I don't think that's necessary. That said, we get a lot of the stuff about the background characters filled in. And I think this is the reason for it. And like you, if somebody said to me, what's the box office number one? I would, oh, Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise, and, the last Mission Impossible film. No. Now, with half term coming to an end today, and both films still in cinemas, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens next week.
Mm.
So when we're talking next Friday, we can compare this and say, okay, maybe it may just be the case that Mission Impossible will have gone to number one because Lilo and Stitch, the kids are back at school.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've been in Cineworld this week to see the Phoenician Scheme, which we were just talking about, the weird, wonderful film about businessmen. And there were lots of kids, all clearly going in to see Lilo and Stitch. And Cineworld were giving away 3 posters, 3 Lilo and Stitch. I mean, I tend to collect these. Cineworld give away a lot of posters. I tend to collect them and just put them in a folder somewhere because I'll collect anything related to movies. Okay. But I do think that's the reason. And I think that adults have been prevented perhaps by their kids from going to see Mission Impossible because Lilo and Stitch opened. And Lilo and Stitch, the reviews were great. I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. Say slightly too long, but there you go. So we're both surprised and we were both wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you clearly told me last week. You expected that, as you said, you thought it was a bad idea to, on Disney's part, to release it at exactly the same time as the long-awaited Mission Impossible film. But perhaps the timing was just right, as you say.
Yeah,
And yeah,
they
and
got
even
their
so, though,
tactics.
yeah, it might be that over the weekend, as half term or as half term comes to an end, as you say, it could be that it's like one of those races where it sort of slowly starts to pick up speed again.
I think it will. I mean, the Mission Impossible film, as I said to you last week, is not my favorite of the series. The first half hour is slow. The first half hour, 45 minutes, is all exposition. It's just people talking, and you kind of think, get on with it. You know, we come to see the action. We come to see
Yeah,
Tom Cruise sinking on in a submarine with his air running out. We come to see. We know Tom Cruise is going to end up on a biplane because we've seen it in the trailer. And for the first 45 minutes, along with a few other critics, I was thinking, get on with it. This is too much talk, you know. And there's lots of recap of the other films. Once the action kicks in, it's staggering. It's breathtaking. So you're right. I mean, maybe the weekend it'll be. We'll see. But that is the number one film, Lilo and Stitch, and still recommended for families. I would still say to people, you know, get a babysitter next week and go back to the cinema. If your kid's dragging you to see Lilo and Stitch, fine, great, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope they enjoyed it. But get a babysitter and go back and see Mission Impossible. You know, you want to see it. It is the final film in the series, supposedly. And you know, who knows?
yeah. It's interesting actually when you talk about Mission Impossible. It seems to me that there's been a lot more, perhaps a lot more media, press releases about Mission Impossible than Lilo and
Yeah.
Stitch.
And again, this is surprising. I mean, I've seen trailers for Mission Impossible on TV,
Yeah,
but I have seen nothing about Lilo and Stitch. I mean, literally, it's where, and when you think, you know, if somebody said name a Disney animated feature, for many people, Lilo and Stitch is not the first one that's going to come to mind. You know, you're thinking Snow White, you're thinking Little Mermaid, you're thinking Lion King, you're thinking Beauty and the Beast, you know, Aladdin maybe, Jungle Book. Lilo and Stitch is not the first Disney animated film that comes to mind. And yet, and yet, this film has captured people's attentions. Again, maybe it's because there's nothing else really decent for children in the cinemas who've had. I mean, we mentioned a Minecraft, excuse me, we mentioned a Minecraft movie. That's kind of fun, but not very good. And how many kids play Minecraft? I don't know. I don't know whether Minecraft is as popular a game. You might be able to tell me, as it once was. Um, but yeah, I've seen very little publicity for Lilo and Stitch, and yet, man alive, it's doing. You know, 9 million is respectable for a Disney live action film.
yeah,
8 million for Mission Impossible is disappointing. You know,
yeah,
really.
maybe a little bit.
So there we go. Yeah, so that's the box office. I want to mention one film that I haven't seen. Okay, now obviously never review anything you haven't seen. But this is not a review, folks. Okay, this is not a review. But there is a film out today which has been trailed for some time. I saw the lead actor being interviewed at an event in London, and it stars two of my favorite actors in the whole world, and I can't wait to see it. So this is a film called The Salt Path, and it stars Jason Isaacs. Now, on the Mark Kermode, my friend who's the nation's leading film critic, went to school with Jason Isaacs, the actor. Okay, we know he's in Harry Potter and he's been in a number of other great films. So I have to use this expression, hello to Jason Isaacs, because on the Mark Kermode page, we always say hello to Jason, okay, because he went to school with Mark. The other person in this film, and again, this is not great radio, but for those who may be watching this on video later, the other person in this film is Gillian Anderson, and I'm holding up a picture of me with Gillian Anderson from the X-Files and other things, of course. Now, she in the picture, she look just to describe for people, she looks absolutely terrified, and that's because I've got my arm around her. But I met both these. So it's a film called The Salt Path, and it's based on a true story of a couple that lost literally everything. They lost their home, they lost their money, they lost their possessions. Everything went wrong for them, and they ended up with nothing. In fact, there's a scene in the trailer where she goes to a cash point to see how much money they've got in the bank, and it comes back and it says 83p. And that's absolutely true. That happened. And she goes in, they go into the bank and she says, "Can we withdraw the 83p, please?" So this couple are left with nothing. They've got some tents. They decided in order to find themselves, to reassess their life, to reevaluate where they're at in their lives, they are going to walk what's called the Salt Path, which is a trail along the coast through Cornwall. And all they've got is the tents and literally no money for food or anything, but they're going to do this walk. Now, Jason Isaacs and Gillian Anderson are two great actors. I mean, absolutely fabulous. And I cannot wait to see this film. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I cannot wait to see this film because it's a hike. Now, this is what I'm coming on to. It's a hike movie. You know, they're going on a hike. They're basically two people going on a walk, talking about why they love each other, talking about why they care for each other, talking about what their future. What are we literally going to do? We literally have 83p, and we've just spent it on a can of soup. You know, so please look out for that. Please, I'll review it next week. But it just has got, I think, a film that has two of my favorite actors in it. I'm always going to want to big up and say, you know, go and it might turn out to be absolutely rubbish. I mean, you know, it might turn out to be terrible. I don't think it will, but but mentioning hike movies. So I'm moving on. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll keep talking. You shut me up. Mentioning hike movies, there are two other movies involving people going on hikes, which are out this weekend to stream. And neither of them are very good. In fact, both are pretty dull and boring. So one is called Good One. This is set in North America, in a lake district, wooded lake district. A young girl going on a hike with her dad and his best friend. Nothing happens. They just literally walk through the woods, and it's so dull and boring. I was sent it to my laptop. I got bored stiff. I was going out the room. I was coming back. They were still walking through the woods. I went out the room to get. They're still walking through the woods and talking. You know, and two friends of mine went to see it at the cinema, and I actually was with them as they came out of the cinema. It was on the British Film Institute in London. And I was there, and I said to them, "Well," and they went, "That was mind-numbingly boring." And it's available to stream. If you like North American scenery, go see it. I mean, absolutely go see it. Same thing with a film called The North. Now, it's not set in North America. This is set in Scotland. And I watched this earlier today, again on my laptop, because I was sent a copy to review. They're going to wish they hadn't sent me a copy to review. Because it's two people walking through lochs and woods in Scotland talking. Three movies. I mean, talk about trends. You've got three movies with different groups of people on a hike. You've got The Salt Path with Gillian Anderson, Jason Isaacs walking around Cornwall. You've got Good One with three people walking around lakes and forests in North America. You've got The North with two people walking around lakes and forests in Scotland. I don't know where all these have come from, to be honest. I don't know how come these have all collided. They're all out this weekend. Two to stream, one in the cinema. The one that I think will be good, and again, I haven't seen it, but the one I think will be good will be The Salt Path. And the trailer stuff actually happens. I mean, there's a scene with the tent blowing away. There's a scene with them falling in the lake. So stuff actually happens in this film. Whereas the other two films are plodding through the trees, on the trees, nice, into that lake, nice. Look at that reflection in the lake, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to bed and picture. Just let it end, you know, just go home, please. So it's really interesting though, isn't it? It's interesting that you get three films of the same theme on the same weekend. And you
Yeah.
think, wow,
Yeah, actually, that film you were talking about reminds me of a film with Martin Sheen called The Way. I don't know if
Yes,
you've seen that one.
yes, I have.
It's a very similar thing. He's obviously just lost his son, and he goes on this hike, on this
Yeah,
pilgrimage. Essentially, it's a lot
yeah.
like that.
That's a pilgrimage in Spain, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, yeah. I mean that's a really lovely film, And films like this can be lovely. They can be introspective. They can be films that make you think about yourself and how would I react in these situations and
Mm.
what would I do if I went to the cash point and there was 83p and that was it. So yeah, you're right. And there have been a few other films as well. But I do remember The Way. I remember sitting watching it and being quite enthralled by it. But Good One and The North. I mean, again, Scotland looks great. Scotland is always going to look great. It would be impossible to make Scotland look terrible, wouldn't it? I mean, it's the most beautiful place.
Yeah.
Um, so, but oh,
Yeah.
Peter.
No, so not your cup of tea, those ones.
No, but Salt Path might be.
Okay.
I hope it will be. Also out this weekend is a new Karate Kid film. Now you're too young to remember the Karate Kid phase. But back in the 80s, the Karate Kid movies started to come out about a young boy being trained and going on to become a karate champion and learning life lessons along the way from a karate master who was a bit of a mystic, his tutor in karate. We've got a new Karate Kid film coming out. A friend of mine saw it today. I messaged him and said, "How was it?" And he said 4 out of 5. So, but talking of I mean, that's a remake in a way. It's not really, but it is a kind of remake. It's kind of reintroducing an old franchise. And I think that this is indicative again of what's happening in Hollywood. No new ideas, you know. No, yeah, we get the occasional one like The Salt Path, which is based on a true story, but no new ideas. So Karate Kid was in the 80s. Let's revive it, you know. Let's revive. No new ideas at all, And you just think, I'd long for something fresh. I long for something new. I long for something different. So that's in cinemas as well. Just to mention one other film that's available for streaming, and I think that'll be it maybe for the week. I don't know. Um, but this is a film that was in cinemas a few weeks ago. It's now available to stream. And again, Nathan, honestly, I remember the days when you go to the cinema and see a film, you wouldn't see it again for 4 years. There was an embargo. The films were not allowed to turn up on TV. That's why, as I've said to you before, and I said in the book, Christmas Day was great because a James Bond film would be on Christmas Day, and you hadn't seen it since it was in the cinema 3 or 4 years earlier. These days, as I've said earlier, well, films are still at the cinema. You can watch them at home. If you'd said that to me then, I'd have bitten your hand off. Just incredible. But now I realise it's not doing cinema any good. Anyway, film that was out in cinemas a few weeks ago, starring Steve Coogan, called The Penguin Lessons. Now, again, what I liked about this was it's an original story. It's based on a true story. We are in Argentina. We're at the height of the Peron dictatorship. People are disappearing off the streets. Steve Coogan has gone to the university in Buenos Aires to teach English. He rescues a penguin. He's walking on the beach with a young lady he's trying to impress. There's a penguin caught in a net. He rescues this penguin. This penguin ends up basically becoming his pet and starts following him everywhere. True story. At the end, you get some actual home footage of the penguin, takes the penguin into university, and everybody falls in love with the penguin. It's a nice film. It's a sort of film. It's available to stream. And I would just say, if you're bored on Sunday afternoon and you've got a cup of tea and you've got a biscuit and you've got a bit of cake, it's that kind of film where you put your feet up and you watch the penguin lessons. I thought it was charming. I mean, I didn't completely engage me. Didn't completely buy into it, but Steve Coogan makes it. Steve Coogan is a really good comic actor, as we know. So that is available to stream. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So quite a range of films. We've got that sort of, I don't know about a battle, but there's certainly two big films in cinemas, 1 and 2, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning and Lilo and Stitch. Interesting to see how that pans out. I suppose there's still time for that to change, for one to move up.
Yeah, because the Salt Path, which is the Karate Kid film, which are out today, they will do well. I mean, they would both do really well, but they won't probably be the box office ticket that Mission Impossible or Lilo and Stitch has proved. I'm still stunned by Lilo. I'm still stunned that a 2002 Disney animated film that would not necessarily be the first Disney animated film to spring to mind when you talk about Disney, has done so well. But it has, again, I think it's the timing. I think it's all down to timing with it being half term, kids dragging their parents to see it, kids nagging their parents, take us to see this film. No, 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 we want to go to see Mission Impossible. No, you don't. You're taking us to see Lilo and Stitch. So you're right. Let's see what happens, particularly this weekend. I hope the Salt Path is going to be good. As I say, I haven't seen it, but it will be. It's got two such great actors. I mean, Gillian Anderson is great, and Jason Isaacs is a superb actor who I love dearly. And I've met both of them, as I say, and had great chats with both of them, and got that photograph of me scaring the life out of Gillian Anderson because I gave her a hug. Probably uninvited, but I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and to watch at home. I mean, stream the Penguin lessons. It's a really good one, but avoid the North and avoid good one because basically there's people walking through forests chatting, and it is so boring.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Andy. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. We look forward to hearing more about these movies next week.
Thank you, Nathan. God bless you. God bless Pure, and God bless everybody listening.